We are going to be talking about equivalent fractions today. As you can see in the title, equivalent fractions. I have underlined the word equivalent in green, our vocabulary color, and I've gone ahead and defined it for us. I know I've said this out loud a couple of times, but it's still good to know what the word equivalent means. You'll see it in math a lot as you go through math through your whole schooling career. Now, equivalent has the root word equal in it. It's the same thing as equal, the same. So, for example, we are going to be finding other fractions that also represent and mean the same thing as 5/6. So, in our books, it gives us the opportunity to do this mathematically or with using a clock. Some of us are more visual learners, so that's why they give us the clock, and it also helps you visually see how 5/6 and the other fraction we're going to create actually equal the same amount. Like the same amount is going to be colored in on these fractions. Now, if you don't prefer the fractions, you may just do the math, but you have to write your math down, okay? And if you just prefer the clocks, then just do the clocks. If you want a challenge, do both, okay? But you do need to write all of your work down. So I'm going to take us through our mathematical way first. And the mathematical way, really the only thing you need to remember is what you do to the bottom. You also have to do to the top. So for example, I can multiply the number 6 by any number. So I'm just going to pick something that's on the easier side, by 2. So let's say I want to do 6 times 2, okay? What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I would have to do 5 times 2. So my new fraction, my equivalent fraction, is then going to be 2 times 5 is 10. Give me a numerator of 10, and 2 times 6 is 12 to give me the denominator of 12. Now, they want you to imagine that this is the fraction line. So now, if I'm going to draw this on my clocks, I need to remember, you can go back to your page, Student Book page 34 has all of those clock fractions drawn out for us to help you if that's the route you're going to take. But I know 1/6 is equal to 2 sets of 5 minutes, like so, okay? And I'm going to color in 5/6. So I'm going to label this one as 5/6, so I know. And I'm going to space out 5/6. So here's 1, 2, 3. Ooh. All good. Sometimes we make mistakes. Just fix it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is now split into 6 pieces, which is exactly what I did. But our numerator tells us how many of those pieces to color in. So color in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? And to show you that 5/6 is equivalent to 10/12, I am actually going to draw my 10/12 over here. Now I know there's 12 sets of 5 minutes in a clock, so that means every single time you see these dashed lines, you're going to draw a line. So my denominator is telling me to split this into 12 pieces, and my numerator is telling me how many of those pieces to color in. So I'm going to color in 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to look at the 2 pictures. I have the same amount of space not colored in on both. I have the same amount of space colored in on both of them. This means my fractions are equivalent. They color and take up the same amount of space as each other. Notice there's no difference. All I'd have to do on this one was erase this line, and boom, they look the exact same. So that's what you're going to do for the rest of them. You can do a different denominator, but if you're going to use the clocks, the types of denominators you want to use are, you want to do types of halves, thirds, fourths, twelfths. You can even push it to 60ths, but that one might be a little hard because you will have to then fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in between here and split it at every single minute, which will take you a long time, but you can do it. There are plenty of other fractions, equivalent fractions for these numbers. You don't have to just do times 2. You can do times 5, times 10, times 13 if you want, 127. But what you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So that should help you find your equivalent fractions. We're going to use these equivalent fractions when you're adding and subtracting fractions because, remember, we need our denominators, both our SOCs, to match in order to add or subtract. And that will actually help us for the bottom part of this lesson. So we've got, it's asking you to only do 2 problems. Okay, 1/3 plus 1/4 and 3/4 plus 5/6. Now, it's got an example problem for you on the left here, and basically what it's doing is it's just showing you the process, and you do need to do the workout like this. The process of finding that matching the common denominator. You can see that right here, common denominator. And you did that by finding an equivalent fraction, okay? So, for example, 1/3 has an equivalent fraction of 2/6 because what they did was they multiplied the bottom by 2, and what you do to the bottom, you also have to do to the top. All right, so 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6, all right? And you'll notice they did not change this fraction. Why? Because the denominator was already 6. And so the SOCs are matching, those denominators match, and you can add now. Make sure you keep the denominator the same, and you only add the top 2 numbers. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And that should help you finish this problem for today.